Some characters have all the luck. I mean, look at Sonic. His speed makes him a natural fit for anything that involves, well, speed. How about Mario? Dude has so much charm, he gets away with anything. Baseball, tennis, throwing parties. But not all gaming characters are so lucky. Some of them are limited. Some of them don't have legs. And when you add them, it gets weird. Now, Pac-Man's an interesting character. I mean, not like inherently, but he's interesting in this context. I mean, who's a bigger character than Pac-Man? You can count him on one hand, and yet, unlike Mario and Sonic and Donkey Kong and all those other iconic characters, most people only know Pac-Man for one game. Pac-Man Pinball Advance is not that game. The thing is, Pac-Man's just a yellow ball, so the character's not exactly versatile. So many times Namco's tried to turn Pac-Man into a mascot, like Mario or Sonic, a mascot that can transcend its original game. That's just never worked with Pac-Man. And that's what makes this attempt so disappointing. Unlike most of his spin-off attempts, pinball works for Pac-Man, makes sense. The only problem is, even though Pac-Man is a ball, he's certainly not a pinball. Pac-Man Pinball Advance gets a few things wrong right off the bat. First off, this idea that people are going to associate Pac-Man with things like grass worlds and haunted houses. Pac-Man's not Mario. The idea of combining pinball with Pac-Man, with the pellets and the mazes and the neon, never actually goes in that direction. It's just Pac-Man in a pinball game, not a Pac-Man pinball game. Now, conceptual issues aside, your pinball is a legless Pac-Man. So at least the game gets that right. There are pellets scattered around the table, which you can collect and use to buy power-ups. There's even the occasional power pellet to let you eat the ghosts. So there's definitely a little Pac-Man here. Your multi-ball is actually Ms. Pac-Man, for God's sake. But again, it's all just placed on top of a generic pinball game. It's aesthetic additions without any meaningful design integration. And even once you get past the design shortcomings, you find out that the gameplay is a disappointment too. Pac-Man Pinball Advance struggles with some really bad physics, most notably. It's like there's no consistency from shot to shot. Things like the angles, the speed, you can never really figure them out. You can hit the ball with the same timing, same force, same momentum, and it goes somewhere else. And speaking of things that are unexpected, Pac-Man Pinball Advance is a pinball game that doesn't keep track of high scores. I mean, I realize that may not sound like a very big deal if you haven't played a lot of pinball, but I mean, high scores are kind of the whole point of pinball. It's like a face with legs. That's a crime against nature. As a guy who likes old school games, and Pac-Man in particular, believe me, I get no joy from telling you this, but Pac-Man Pinball Advance is just a poor pinball game. The license feels tacked on, the physics are questionable, and most importantly, the game just isn't any fun. Apparently a big yellow ball does not a pinball make. Thanks to our friend Mark from Brooklyn for sending it in.